Well, today is the last day of the year, um, and just wanted to start off hoping all is well. uh, Hope you've had a good year. Probably reiterate this again at the end, but hopefully your year has been good, and I hope next year will be just as good, if not better. And I wanted to do one last sort of like update of the various Blu-Rays and stuff that I've gotten. Uh, Starting with a couple of the more recent videos that I've done, like Rob Roy. I have this on DVD, but I wanted to get this on Blu-ray for a good while, and yeah, looks very good. Still a good movie. Uh, Obviously, in the sense because I talked about it and I liked it. And One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Still love this film. It's really good, great, excellent movie. Yeah. This really is Jack Nicholson at his finest. So, yeah. Great movie. And so now here's some of the stuff that I haven't shown recently, such as Fargo on 4K. I got this just before, Shell Factory's website is kind of went offline in the sense that you have to go to groove.com. So, got this. I've wanted this for a while, but when this first was announced for the 4K, I wasn't able to get it right away due to the fact that other things were coming out at the same time. So I'm like, you got to. And since I already had the Blu-ray and the DVD, I'm like, I can hold off for the 4K upgrade for a while. But yeah, very good transfer. Still really good. It's fun movie, hilarious, and yeah. And next year, this film will be 30 years old. And I know I mentioned this director before. Perhaps there was a better way to do it, but of mentioning what had happened. But I also wasn't sure I would go and get this right away. But I'm glad I went to Walmart recently, got a couple of new films, or well, new releases, I guess, at least for me. And Spinal Tap 2. Rob Reiner obviously passed away. He was killed along with his wife. So again, rest in peace to him. And I didn't expect to get this, at least not right away. The Criterion Collection has the first film. I intend to get. I probably will sometime in the future. But yeah, the last one, like Sorcerer and some other things that I've been looking at for a while. I guess I kind of just ruined one of these movies, but really, there's some others I wanted for quite some time, and I held off getting it for the longest time. So I didn't get Spinal Tap, but I intend to soon. But you got Michael McKean, Christopher Guest, Harry Shearer, and Rob Reiner again. And this is the end continues, and there is going to be a third Spinal Tap film. It's supposed to come out next year, but because of Rob Reiner's uh, unfortunate passing, they're holding off for a while and talking to those involved, like family members as well as the cast and crew to talk about what to do with this film or the third film so that they can properly release it. Since I don't know if it was they ever really put an actual date on the third film or if it was just announced releasing next year. But I have the sequel, so that's cool. And yeah, I've seen the first one uh, over the years here and there, but just never owned it. So, but the Criterion one, from what I've heard, it's a pretty good release. So I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, this wasn't super expensive. Of course, also it's Christmas time, so some stuff like this is, they are fairly this time of year, around Christmas time, and also some things that were not as high price as normally they would be, but yeah. So yeah, Spinal Tap 2, and rest in peace again to Rob Reiner. I got the Devil's Rejects, which it's interestingly enough, this is like a few Rob Zombie films that people actually find to be very good, because Rob Zombie movies, they're either enjoyed by fans or just disliked out and out uh, by people. But this is one that you know has a lot of love. Um, and this one has a you know 4K disc. There's the Blu-ray disc, and 4K disc. Or yeah, the 4K disc, and it's the Blu-ray. And here is the 30 Days in Hell documentary about the making of this film. And, yeah, this is what the inside looks like. It's pretty cool. I remember seeing how people really liked uh, uh, Bill Moseley's performance specifically, and people made an independent campaign for him to get nominated for an Academy Award. Obviously, that didn't happen, but I think that's kind of interesting. Somebody who did get praise from even critics, like even Roger Ebert thought this was a good movie. And when it comes to horror, he was very stickler about what was good and not, and what wasn't, at least in his opinion. And there are some these little cards. Which on the back has more cartoon stuff. On the back, there's like excerpts of the script. Danny Trejo, Kid 4A. Bill Moseley. Sherry Moon Zombie. And Sid Haig. May he rest in peace. And yeah, this was a Lionsgate release for the film's 20th anniversary, which is this year. And yeah, they just have this basically like that. So you've got to just make sure it's all there in the middle, and then you can just open and close it. Middle like that, and yeah, Lionsgate has some pretty cool steel books. I know steel books aren't for everyone. They don't always people don't always like them, and I get it. Some of the steel books that exist out there, it's kind of like, what's the point? You know, you don't always get stuff that's exclusive to it, like certain special features or even some of the stuff that's inside here. Other than, yeah, I guess but if you're gonna get it, it should look cool. This looks cool. I think so, at least. And here is a documentary about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, about what all these various people, like Patton Oswalt, Takashi Miike, Alexandria Eller Nichols, Stephen King, and Karen Kusama, talking about their earliest memories, sensory experiences, and even childhood trauma. And so it has that documentary here on this disc, on the first disc. Chain reactions. And there's Leatherface dancing with the chainsaw. There's commentary with the director Alexander O. Felipe. Texas Chainsaw Massacre outtakes, and the theatrical trailer of this. And on disc 2 and 3 is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original film in various forms: a 16 millimeter overscan print, 16 millimeter barbecue print, 35 millimeter grindhouse print, 1984 K-Tel Australian VHS copy, and the K-Tel Australian trailer for the film. And on disc 3, so all that was on disc 2. Disc 3 is 1981 Wizard Video VHS, that 1987 bootleg Czechoslovakia VHS, 1978 Super 8 millimeter Irv Film Services print, and a 1980s Slovakian Betamax. And Czechoslovakian and Slovakian prints that are in their like that language. And I don't believe there's English subtitles, but yeah, it's kind of cool to see the various prints of this. Some that would be here domestically in America, and others obviously international. And yeah, there you go. That's really cool. But yeah, people just talk about their thoughts and experiences with this film. And some pictures here behind the scenes. There's Toby Hooper. Yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a great movie. The documentary itself is fine. This was a limited edition thing, and I think it might be a limited edition in the sense like you won't be able to get this. This is from yeah, Dark Sky Films. I was gonna say that, but I'm like I wanted to make sure, and I don't just. Oh yeah, it has that, but yeah, I wanted to make sure that way I don't just say something and then it's like no, that's not correct. So if you go to their website, you might be able to find a version of this, but I don't think they'll have the kind of the all this stuff here. Or maybe it was the 2 discs. I don't remember now. I remember some people talking about this. I'm like, oh, that actually sounds kind of cool. I want to get that. And obviously I did. But yeah, the various prints, some of them are fairly decent for the kind of prints they are that are old. And some of them were obviously, very much used. So there's that. And then here, it's more of that scene. And then you can see Leatherface there, kind of like, yeah, he's just holding the chainsaw. But this was a pretty cool release. Again, the documentary was fine. You don't learn too many new things about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but you get to hear people's experiences. And with the 50th anniversary re-release in theaters last year, they had like a little sneak peek of this, and was released this year. So yeah, and it premiered here at the 81st Mostria International de Arts Cinematographe Le Biennale de Venezia 2024. Venice Classics, Best Documentary on Cinema. So like the Venice Film Festival. And no doubt I just said all that was just full on awful and trash. So here is Sorcerer, that movie I kind of ruined that I actually got. I kept looking over there for whatever reason. A remake of Sorcerer, or of Wages of Fear, which I've talked about. And yeah, this is a very good film. Stars Roy Scheider, directed by William Friedkin, who Scheider and Friedkin worked together on The French Connection. And watching this again, it was really good. I wanted this movie for the longest time. Great, that fell, because why wouldn't it? Yeah, it's like the same premise, but there are differences, obviously. It's in English for the most part, whereas in the original it was in multiple languages, mostly French, if I recall correctly. And yeah, and this film failed due to the fact that it came out not too long after Star Wars. And looking at this, if this was released like in the fall, it probably would have had a better chance. Because, obviously back then, summer films with like blockbusters and great spectacle and entertainment, that was still fairly new. Jaws came out 2 years prior. Star Wars came out like weeks before, and so people were starting to get kind of used to around summertime. They wanted big spectacle films, and this is very much, a suspenseful drama. Not that people in the summer wouldn't like something like this, but let's be honest, it's compared to Star Wars. Yeah, most people are gonna be like, yeah, I want to watch Star Wars over and over, and yeah. And for the longest time, I wanted to get this on like DVD and Blu-ray. For whatever reason, I never got it on either. But when they announced this was coming out, I was like, well, this is the time to get it. And obviously, I did. And it's an excellent film. So if you've seen Wages of Fear, I think that might be worth watching. Both were based off of the book of the same of Wages of Fear, called this one Sorcerer, like, because of the like one of the trucks name is Sorcerer, and that's why. And so people kind of have this misconception what the film was about. I think that was something that Friedkin later said that was kind of a mistake on his part, naming it that. Should have tried to find a name like not necessarily Wages of Fear, but something that was similar, so people kind of knew what it was about, or had an idea based off of the title alone. But yeah, but coming out around the time of Star Wars was not helpful. And this release has a Friedkin Uncut documentary by Francisco Zappel with interviews with Friedkin and screenwriter Wallen Green, who wrote this film, filmmakers Wes Anderson, Francis Ford Coppola, and others. A new conversation between James Gray and film critic Sean Fency. Conversation between Friedkin and filmmaker Nicholas Winding Refn. Archival audio interviews with Green and editor Bud Smith from a collection of Bielda Dell'Angelo Valon, author of William Friedkin. Behind the scenes footage and the trailer and all that stuff. So yeah. The music by Tangerine Dream is really good, so that's a plus. And here's a movie that I have, but this was like $32, and it's a steelbook. It was at Walmart. That's the other. This is the other movie I got. It's Black Christmas. I've talked about this before, and I thought about getting this before, sometime, but actually this came out after the normal release. Like if it came out around the same time or at the same time, I would have gotten that instead. But yeah, still one of my favorite horror films. You know, people are like, oh, you're watching this or watch that for uh, uh, you know, Christmas. And I'm like, I'm watching Home Alone and Black Christmas because real Christmas movies. Thanks. And on the inside, here's this. Heck yes, it's me, Billy. Yeah, that dude is creepy. And Olivia Hussey, may she rest in peace. She passed away this year. Margot Kidder passed away. John Saxon has passed away. Many of the people a part of this film have passed away, including the director, Bob Clark, who also directed A Christmas Story 9 years after this. He's like, this is the final time I will ever do a horror movie. Because he wanted to do other things, which is fair. And, yeah. This film was $32 at Walmart, and I'm like, that's quite reasonable for a steelbook, especially when Shout Factory, Scream Factory has their own stuff there, which I've seen people talk about how you can get some of these Shout Factory stuff at uh, you know Walmart, and I often don't see them too much. I mean, granted, their selection in store is very small, hence why you wouldn't necessarily see it. But apparently, there's a good amount of these kind of releases, not just in steelbook, but just general Shout Factory releases. So I'm like, that's kind of interesting. So I guess whenever I go to Walmart, I'll be more on the alert of Shout Factory releases. And the last movie I got is The Mask, and an actor in this film passed away. Peter Green played Dorian, and this is my favorite film that Jim Carrey has ever done. Um, and this is the first time I've ever owned this outside of DVD, and I just got the normal Blu-ray release. Mainly because I'm like, in a couple of years or so, when the film is 35 years old, because last year it turned 30. Warner Brothers will probably have a new re-release of it for 4K. But all that stuff with Netflix wanting to buy Warner Brothers, which my whole stance on that is no one should own Warner Brothers but Warner Brothers. I get the idea of Paramount owning Warner Brothers. I think is better because they're more into theatrical releases and stuff. But some of the stuff with the deals in terms of the money and everything, that's kind of like, fairly iffy to say the least. And I don't want to get politics involved, but that's a little thing. But if I'm like that would be the better option for me. Though of course, where the money is coming from for a part of it, that's kind of another thing. But still, it's like theatrical releases are better. Netflix won't do that really. They kind of want a 2 week window only, and that's bad. And then it'll just go to streaming only. And then it's like, well, what's going to happen with physical releases? Bit like this, or like with Arrow, or any other, or just Warner Brothers home video in general. Seems like that would go away. And of course, there is with Arrow home video. They always have posters. The original poster. And this poster, which I've never actually seen before. In terms of as a poster. I'm guessing that this was another poster, but we just didn't get to see it as much. Cameron Diaz in her first film. Peter Raygard as Lieutenant Calloway. Emmy Yazbek as Peggy Brandt. Richard Jenny as Charlie Schumacher. Orteas Matasina he and Jenny and now Peter Green have all passed on. But I like this film because it really does show some of Jim Carrey's dramatic capabilities. But of course, him being also with The Mask, he's able to basically be a cartoon. I'm not going to show you every single thing, but yeah, there you go. There's Dorian. Peter Green and his mask. Looks like a demon. Yeah. There. There's Peter Green, who's also Zed in Pulp Fiction. If you ever saw Justified, he was in the very first episode, the very first scene. He was also in Training Day. He was in many things. He was a very good actor. One of those character actors that often played bad guys, and he played them well. And at least as far as at the time of recording this, we don't know exactly how he passed away, other than he was 60 years old. So, but yeah, I also like how they made this like the Edge City Tribune, the newspaper. I always like when Arrow does stuff like that and just make things unique. And of course, is the reverse cover of it, of The Mask, Jim Carrey. And then there's all these pictures and stuff. Stanley Ipkiss is The Mask. There you go. There's Peter Green. Cameron Diaz. And of course, there is Milo the dog. And you know, the back is the exact same, just black. And this here is that. Well, I'm glad I have this on Blu-ray. Yeah, the Warner Brothers stuff with Arrow, they don't really do Blu-rays anymore with the 4Ks. I believe they used to have it like combined, but oh, also here's the back. Obviously, it's just the poster, the main one that you see. Plus, that kind of works in terms of like, you know, there, yeah, kind of lines up. Has all the old special features plus new stuff, which is nice. Yeah, great movie. I love this movie. It's fun. So, yeah. That is what I have gotten so far. Well, at least of the year. Well, not so far. This is what I've gotten for the last. This is the last time I did an update. So yeah. Yeah. Well, have you seen any of these movies? Yes, no, uh, maybe. Uh, are there any that I've seen that seems interesting that you might not have seen? The Chain Reactions one with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre like documentary that might not appeal to everyone, but I figured it'd be kind of cool to hear what some of these guys have to say um, about what they've thought about the film, as well as seeing the very different versions of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and just seeing the quality of some of these, like from VHS to um, the 8 millimeter prints and other film prints. Like some of them, you could try to restore as best as you possibly could, um, but then like with the VHS tapes and Betamax tapes, it's like when they start to deteriorate and everything, that the quality is going to be not that great. So yeah, so that's what I've got. Um, yeah. Anyway, rest in peace to Rob Reiner and Peter Green. Both of them were very talented, and yeah. I hope all of you have had a very good year. Hope all of you will have a great next year, and please take care. Have a great rest of your day, and yeah, just do what you gotta do, and yeah. For everybody who loves to collect movies and watch movies, hopefully next year, there'll be just as many good stuff, if not better stuff, to collect, as well as seeing movies that will be really good. Hopefully, worth watching on the big screen. There are some films I'm very interested in watching, and hope they will be good. So, yeah. Hope you're all good. Again, just take care of yourself and have a great new year. I'll see you all next time. Again, take care. Bye.